Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarisatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisance to the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So this morning we're reading from the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, chapter 17, Punishment and Reward of Kali. Today's verse is text 14. Kindly repeat this verse after me, line by line, as appears on the board. Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Sarvatosya chad madbhayam.
Sarvatosya chad madbhayam.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Asadhu damane krite.
Asadhu damane krite.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Sarvatosya chad madbhayam.
Sarvatosya chad madbhayam.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Asadhu damane krite.
Asadhu damane krite.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Sarvatosya chad madbhayam.
Sarvatosya chad madbhayam.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Asadhu damane krite.
Asadhu damane krite.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Sarvatosya cha madbhayam.
Sarvatosya cha madbhayam.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Asadhu damane krite.
Asadhu damane krite.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Sarvatosya cha madbhayam.
Sarvatosya cha madbhayam.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Sadhu damane krite.
Asadhu damane krite.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Jane nagasya dham yunjan.
Sarvatosya cha madbhayam.
Sarvatosya cha madbhayam.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Sadhunam bhadrameva syat.
Sadhu damane krite.
Asadhu damane krite.
Jane,
Jane,
to the living beings.
to the living beings.
Anagasi,
Anagasi,
those who are offenseless.
those who are offenseless.
Agham,
Agham,
suffering.
suffering.
Yunjan,
Yunjan,
by applying.
by applying.
Sarvataha,
Sarvataha,
anywhere and everywhere.
anywhere and everywhere.
Asya,
Asya,
of such offenders.
of such offenders.
Cha,
Cha,
and
and
Matbhayam,
Madhvayam,
fear me.
fear me.
Sadhunam,
Sadhunam,
of the honest persons.
of the honest persons.
Bhadram,
Bhadram,
good fortune.
good fortune.
Eva,
Eva,
certainly.
certainly.
Syat,
Syat,
will take place.
will take place.
Asadhu,
Asadhu,
dishonest miscreants.
dishonest miscreants.
Domane,
Domane,
curbed.
curbed.
Krite,
Krite,
being so done.
being so done.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless. Dishonest miscreants flourish because of cowardly and impotent executive heads of state. But when the executive heads are strong enough to curb all sorts of dishonest miscreants in any part of the state, certainly they cannot flourish. When the miscreants are punished in an exemplary manner, automatically all good fortune follows. As said before, it is the prime duty of the king or the executive head to give protection in all respects to the peaceful, offenseless citizens of the state. The devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful and offenseless, and therefore it is the prime duty of the state to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. Thus automatically there will be peaceful, offenseless citizens. Then the only duty of the king will be to curb the dishonest miscreants. That will bring about peace and harmony all over human society. Jane nagasya gam yunjan sarvatosya chamabhayam sadhunam bhadram evasyat asadhu yamani. Whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless. Mukam karoti vachalam mangalanayam yat kripatadaham bande Sri Guru Dinatayam. So the personality of Kali is the prototype leader of Kali Yuga. He appeared in the kingdom of Mahārāja Parikṣit, which at that time, of course, was the whole world. He appeared in the guise of a king, dressed up with the royal insignia, crown, and so on. But he was engaged in horribly sinful acts, killing the cow and the bull, who are actually mother and father of human society. So now, since that time, this trend has expanded across the face of the earth. This is also prophesied in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that the kings, the kingly order, will be in this age dasyu, they will be plunderers. And kings require ministers, the Brahmana, priestly, intellectual class. Srila Prabhupada says for government, both classes must be cooperating. So that is also going on in Kali Yuga. There is a priestly or intellectual class which cooperates with these rascal kings. And Bhagavatam says these so-called brahmanas are rakshasas, big demons. So whether in India, where the brahmanas became very materialistic, demigod worshippers, proponents of non-Vedic philosophies, such as atheistic Sankhya philosophy, or Karma Mimamsa philosophy, or even Buddhism, which is totally anti-Vedic, and then later Mayavadi philosophy. And the kings in India also, supported by such Brahmins, the famous in history, plunderers. Outside of India, in the West, the same thing is going on in a different cultural context, perhaps. In the West, the Brahmanas or intellectuals are materialistic scientists of the Western style of science. But the kings, these authorities, are no less rascals, plunderers. So Mahārāja Parikṣit, seeing this trend manifesting 5,000 years ago, he immediately put a stop to it. Now this verse is very illuminating because it shows us that Mahārāja Parikṣit, his intention in suppressing, this word is used, dominate. Dominate means to curb or suppress. So his intention in suppressing the personality of Kali was not one of mundane rivalry, as between two powerful men in this world. When they meet, immediately the chests are bumping together. Get out of my way, get out of my way. It was not like that at all. Actually, we find in this verse the explanation of transcendental power, the wielding of transcendental power in this world for the good of all living entities. Some persons have a problem with power, whether it be material or spiritual, just power itself. It makes them nervous. But Krishna, he's all-powerful, the all-powerful personality of Godhead. And his devotees, they represent him in this world. So although the devotees of the Lord, like Mahārāja Parikṣit, are nishkinchana, they have no desire for position. They're not envious of others, suppressing others out of fear. No, but actually their mission in this world is to establish the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in all realms of human society, human endeavor. So, therefore, just as we see in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's a very nice example of this. How devotee is actually reluctant. He's reluctant to take a position of power for himself. But for the service of the Supreme Lord, he's very eager. When Lord Gauranga began his Sankirtan pastimes in Navadvip, he gathered around him all of the Vaishnavas who had descended into this world, were actually the eternal associates of Lord Krishna, who had come into this world to participate with the Lord in his Gauranga Lila, in spreading Sankirtan everywhere. But one associate was missing. This was Śrīdam, who was the dear cowherd boyfriend of the Lord in Pajabhumi. So, missing Śrīdam, Lord Gauranga requested Lord Nityananda to go find him in Vrindavan. Śrīdam had actually been staying in a cave in Vrindavan. He'd been in trance for 5,000 years, or at that time, 4,500 years. And so Lord Nityananda sought him out and awoke him from this, brought him back to external consciousness from this trance. And Śrīdam asked him, "Who are you?" And Lord Nityananda replied, I am Balaram. And Śrīdam didn't at first believe him until they ran a race around Govardhan Hill. And Śrīdam could understand only Lord Balaram could beat me in a race around Govardhan Hill, which they ran around the whole hill in just a few moments. So then Sridham, he requested Lord Nityananda to please explain, why have you woken me from my trance? It is now Kali Yuga. I don't like this age. And Lord Nityananda explained that Lord Gauranga is calling you. He is manifesting his Sankirtan pastimes in this world to bring Krishna prema to everyone. So Sridham was skeptical that these people are so sinful and fallen, atheist. No. The Lord is showing him his complete mercy. And he's feeling that without you, his pastimes will not be complete. So you must come. So Sridham was very reluctant. Finally, it is said, he expanded himself. He expanded himself into a form that was called Abhiram. Abhiram Gopal Thakur. This is one of the great associates of Lord Chaitanya. So Abhiram Gopal Thakur was in this way manifested from Sridham, who did not want to leave his cave in Vrindavan. So Lord Nityananda brought Sridham in this form back to Lord Chaitanya in Navadvip. Now it is said that in this expansion, Abhiram was initially in Dwarpa Yuga size, because Sridham had stayed in that cave since Dwarpa Yuga. So when Abhiram appeared before Lord Gauranga, and Lord Gauranga explained the mission that he wanted him to undertake, to help him subdue the atheists, the opponents of Krishna consciousness in this world, Lord Nityananda remarked, but it will not be very good if he does this in this form, such a huge form. So Lord Gauranga and Lord Nityananda, they hung from the shoulders of Abhiram Das Thakur. In this way they pulled him down to his normal size. And then he went forth to preach, to defeat the atheistic brahmanas who were propounding demigod worship, and to convert the kings who were both Hindu and Muslim, but atheists all. So his pastimes are very wonderful. That he used to go to temples where demigods were worshipped, and he would offer obeisances to these murtis, and they would crack, they would crumble, and people would see that these are just idols, dead idols, and our so-called religion worshipping these dead idols is also dead. And then he would go with the people, for instance, in the place of Jayadev Goswami, where Jayadev Goswami, Kenduli Dilva, you know, there's beautiful deities of Jayadev called Radha Madhav in one temple there. So he went there with a very great entourage of people. And there he bowed down before the deities of Sri Sri Radha Madhav, and the deities glowed brilliantly and then began to dance. And everyone could see, it was very graphically displayed to them, that we should worship only Sri Sri Radha and Krishna and not demigods. And he was always, you see, because he was simply immersed in his identity as Sridham, Abhiram Gopal would, without consideration, although his form had been reduced, but without consideration for the nature of things around him in this Kali Yuga, he would display the pastimes of Sridham. For instance, once there was a huge log which was floating downstream. A log so big that 16 men could not lift So he saw this log and he remembered his identity as Sridham and how Sridham plays a flute, and he thought this would be a nice flute. So he picked that log out of the river. Huge log. And his wife, Malini, was there. Malini is Vrindavati, Gopi. And he was handing the log to her. She was also taking it. Yes, this would be a good flute for you. So he turned this log into a flute. Because he is transcendental to this world. For a resident of Vrindavan, the size and weight of material things means nothing. Because the resident of Vrindavan is transcendental. So he turned this huge log into a flute, and he played it, and his wife sang kirtan. And everyone was amazed. And he had a whip called Jayamangal. So with this whip, he used to pursue the atheists through the street. He would beat them. And when that whip would touch their bodies, instead of feeling pain, they would feel Krishna prema. And they would leap up in the air in ecstasy and chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. So he became very famous. Wherever he would go, the atheists, the atheistic kings and brahmanas, either they would have to submit to him, or they would be beaten by him and that way converted, or they would just flee away as soon as they could, just get away from him. But we see it was not his intention to become some kind of famous worldly personality, a rival of other famous persons, famous powerful persons, and suppress them to increase his own glory, power, prestige in this world. This is not the motivation of a devotee's exhibition of spiritual power. Actually, the motivation is indicated here, Mad-bhayam. Mahārāja Parikṣit says, they will fear me. Now, these demons, they're in a fearful state already. As we know from Bhagavatam, Bhayam Gati Abhinivishya Shat. Vishada Vitasya Vipadivasmati. They are rivals to Krishna. This is how they style themselves. Their purpose in this world is to try to banish Krishna from human consciousness and put themselves in Lord Krishna's place. But by doing this, bhayam, they're immediately placed in anxiety. Their own position becomes very fearful because that is a false presumption on their part. That I have banished God, and now I am God. We see, for instance, in the mentality of Kamsa, how he was always in anxiety. So they are fearful. But it's interesting. They take this fearful state of mind to be good. You see, they utilize it. They expand this fearful, or we can even say paranoia, to everyone and everything around them. Just like we see the demoniac governments, they're always spying. Ajay Prabhu was telling me how even psychological studies, ridiculous studies, are funded in America by the government. Hundreds of thousands of dollars to observe how men pass urine in the urinal, things like that. He was telling me. They put a little periscope in the men's toilet and watch how men pass urine. There's someone timing it. And other such ridiculous experiments. And what is behind it, actually, is that the government funds these experiments to study human behavior so that they can better control the population. They can better detect if some danger, some opposition is arising from some quarter, and then how to subvert that opposition, to divide it. So therefore they're very interested in studying in this actually paranoid way human behavior. So this is actually the animalistic principle. The animal principle of bhaya, fear, becomes predominant. Srila Prabhupada said this is the main business of the animals. When you observe the birds, for instance, when they come down and hop about collecting food, they're always looking here and there because they're afraid. So this is their awareness of the world around them. It is all in terms of fear. So the demons, they're paranoid. They're always on the lookout for danger or threat to their false position. But they do not understand because they've so completely forgotten Krishna that actually it is Krishna they should fear because they are rascals. Instead, that fear is diffused to the material world and they're fearing this man and that man, this nation, that nation. So it is the mission of such a pure devotee as Mahārāja Parikṣit, Mad Bhayam, they will fear me because I am Krishna's devotee. This is actually the ecstasy. I was saying the other day, the ecstasy of the Vaishnava is to kill the demons or suppress them, as we see in the Ram Leela so clearly. It is a fact. There's an interesting point that's made by Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan in his Govinda Bhasya. He points out how in one very famous and very devotional Upanishad called Gopal Tapani Upanishad, which is a pure bhakti Upanishad. But yet there is this statement that a pure devotee, in thinking of Krishna's pastimes, sometimes he thinks, the term is used, Soham, I am he, I am Krishna. So now a doubt certainly arises. Is this Mayavadi philosophy creeping in to the Upanishads, into a nice bhakti Upanishad? Is this the conclusion? Some Mayavadi conclusion? No, Baladev Vidyabhushan explains that actually it is explained, the example is given in the 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, chapter 30, that the gopis, in their ecstasy of remembering Lord Krishna's pastimes, remembering his movements, his smiles, his glancing upon them, his wonderful speeches, they, in remembering and acting this out for one another, to help one another remember Krishna, they would, in their ecstasy of full absorption in Krishna's pastimes, they would sometimes say, I am he, I am Krishna. So much absorbed with it in the Lord's pastimes. But this is not to be taken as some Mayavadi contamination. So similarly, we see Mahārāja Parikṣit is also exhibiting this ecstasy in that these demons, they're actually fearful of Krishna, but because they're in Maya, so totally in Maya, they've forgotten Krishna completely. So Mahārāja Parikṣit is actually thinking like this: then they will fear me. I am Krishna's devotee. Let them fear me. I will punish them. I will suppress them on behalf of the Lord. And in this way, by fearing me, they will remember Krishna. So, yesterday at the Hare Krishna Center, I was speaking a little bit on Varnashram Dharma. So, in Varnashram Dharma, there's also this sort of mixed motivation that a pious person, one who is Sukrita, but yet still attached to material nature, he may, if he has the right qualification, he may take the post of a king, Kshatriya. And there yes, he may actually be still, because of some attachment to the mode of passion, still being under that influence. He may, while protecting Dharma, still be fearing for himself, because he is attached. Because he's attached, he's enjoying the facilities of his kingdom. And he doesn't want that to be taken away from him. So here is an example of a sort of mixed motive. He's defending Dharma, but he's also defending his own sense gratification. That is seen even in Indra. When Indra, when his own spiritual master, Brihaspati, was offended and abandoned him, then Indra took as his spiritual master Vishvarup. But when he saw that Vishvarup, because Vishvarup, on his mother's side, I think, he was related to the demons. So Vishvarup, in performing yajna, because one has to offer to the forefathers, so he was also offering to the line of the demons, the Daitya culture. And so seeing this, Indra became afraid. He thought, my self-interest is being threatened. So he killed his own guru, Vishvarupa. That was a great sin. But this verse, we'll read it again. Whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the defenseless. Here we see, in Mahārāja Parikṣit, there is no such personal motivation. His intention as Kshatriya is just to permit the offenseless living beings under his charge, to permit them, to allow them the opportunity to progress in their spiritual life, in their service to the Lord, without being threatened by the demoniac. So he, therefore, utilized his power and position as Kshatriya to curb down the sinful behavior, the sinful activity of this Kali. It was actually a great obstruction in his kingdom. So there's no question of any personal motivation on the part of Mahārāja Parikṣit. This verse is expressing the sentiments of a pure devotee, mission of a pure devotee in this world. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have something in mind.
Thought so.
You said some are fearful of powerful position. So, what kind of Maya is that, for instance, if one feels that in relationship to spirit? Someone feels that he cannot approach, for instance,
Yes, well, you see, Sri Krishna, he's the all-powerful personality of Godhead. But his pure devotees do not, actually, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained to Vallabhacharya, that the pure devotees, those who have Kevala Bhakti, pure devotion, they're actually not taking into consideration his Aishwarya, his power. They are approaching the Lord in love, desiring to render loving service. and Krishna, by his mercy, is reciprocated. So similarly, among devotees of the Lord, why should there be, although devotees of the Lord, as we've seen, they're the most powerful, because they're Krishna's representative. So this power, this is actually, the force of this power is actually felt by the non-devotees. They must submit themselves to Krishna. This is the beginning of spiritual life. It begins with submitting oneself to Krishna. So because they're non-devotees, they have to be convinced sometimes by exhibition of power when Krishna himself comes, or when the pure devotee is preaching. He displays the power of argument, power of logic. His purity is felt in that way. And thus the non-devotees must submit or go away. Among devotees themselves, devotees who have surrendered to Krishna and are rendering service to him, why should there be this fear of power? Of course, there is respect. We respect one another as devotees, and we see our senior godbrothers, senior devotees in ISKCON, leaders of ISKCON. We see their responsibility and how they've been empowered by Krishna to carry out a very difficult task. And we respect that, and we don't, of course, we don't want to make offense. But apart from that, I mean, that is there, but the relationship between devotees is actually one of love, as explained by Srila Rupa Goswami, the Bhakti Pramudinati Parikṣit. These are actually the elements of relationship between devotees. So, yes, why should one consider like that? That someone is so powerful that I cannot approach him.
Because I have something else to say. They would be.
Well, then that's an honest statement. And that's a problem. Why should we have something against authority? The authority is Krishna's authority.
Yeah, I have no problem with Krishna's system. More difficult to what it comes to
Krishna's devotees. Well, again, as I said, anyway, Krishna's devotees, they are approachable. They are actually the Lord's mercy. Vaishnava is Krishna's mercy in this world, and they are approachable. So one has to know how to approach the Vaishnava properly. That's all. It would appear. I mean, I don't want to. Because these kind of questions, you were hesitant to raise it. So I'm hesitant to probe too deeply because often such questions, they refer to some particular person. And the class, this Bhagavatam class, is not supposed to be the forum of analyzing individual person's defects in public. But these are things to be considered. We need not fear approaching the devotee of the Lord, who is Krishna's mercy in this world. Actually our spiritual life, the root of it, Krishna Bhakti Janmamula Haya Sadhusanga, the root of Krishna Bhakti, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained, is Sadhusanga, association with devotees. So, whoever has this problem should reflect on this point, that if one is overawed by the position or power of other devotees and is thus afraid, fearful to approach them, then he's depriving himself of sadhusanga. And he's